When it comes to Mortal Kombat realms, there's no doubt that, besides for our home of Earthrealm, Outworld is the most iconic one there is, and much of that is for its aesthetics and of course, its characters. So let's talk about the aesthetics of those characters by covering all the Outworld characters remaining whose outfits I have not yet ranked. Hello my fellow oddities, and welcome to every Outworlder design ranked worst to best, covering Reiko, Meat, Nitara, Rai Cho, Onaga, Kotal Kahn, Devora, Erron Black, Ferra, Torr, and Kollector. Yes, I know Erron Black is technically from Earth, but shush. So let's get into the rules for anyone who hasn't seen the previous videos. The first rule is that I will only include designs from Mortal Kombat games. This means no comics, movies, or cartoons, or designs from crossover appearances in other games. The second rule is that I will not be considering any repeated or reused designs, so no classic costumes that have been brought back in later games, or any recycled outfits that don't feature any new additions. The third rule is for Mortal Kombat 11 only, and it's that I will only be ranking designs featured in the story mode, since MK11 has a lot of designs that just aren't worth talking about. And the fourth and final rule is no Mortal Kombat mobile games, only console releases. So without further ado, we gotta get going because we got a whopping 40 designs to rank today. At the bottom spot, I got Kollector's shirtless outfit from his first scene in MK11. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know why I included this on the list. At number 39, I have Rai Cho's alternate costume from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Yeah, the exposed hairy belly look is not it, chief. We do not need jiggle physics on the man's gut while he's piecing me up. In all seriousness though, I get Rai Cho is kind of in a weird limbo between serious character and joke character, but this is a little too goofy for my liking. At number 36, I have the Dark Lord outfit for Kotal Kahn and MKX as a part of the medieval skin pack. I don't really have much to say on this one. It's a themed skin that feels kind of generic. I feel like they could have done something more related to Kotal's character, but as it is, something just feels missing, especially around the face area. At number 37, oh lord, Murdoink, please don't curse me for this, I have Meat from MK4. Listen, we all love Meat. We all love Meat. But I think he's had better designs since this. Well, design, he's only had one. But this is just a literal skinless character that you can see on certain fatalities for the whole cast, as opposed to when Meat has some unique qualities. At 36, I got Ferra from MK1. It's a serviceable design for Ferra, but without Torr, it's lacking any oomph to it, you know? It's kind of the character's only thing that keeps them from being incredibly generic looking, that symbiotic relationship. Take it away and you get nothing super notable, a background character type design. Next, at number 35, I have the Bounty Hunter Erron Black design from MKX. My first problem is that it's too bulky. He's covered in layers of jackets and clothes, and the outer jacket itself has spikes and all these bits that stick out. But the worst thing is that hair. Oof, that looks terrible. And it wouldn't be a problem if MKX didn't stupidly not give Erron Black a hat in 2 of his 3 variations. At 34, I have the Outworld Gala Reiko outfit. Just a fun design that's supposed to be sort of a stylish Reiko. I'm not the biggest fashion expert or anything, but he does look quite dashing. Doesn't exactly scream war general though, does it? 33, we got Erron Black's Outcast design from MKX. Must resist urge to make male stripper joke. Yeah, I don't think this one's as bad as most people say, but yeah. Erron, maybe...
Put a fucking shirt on, Magic Mike.
Yeah, thanks Kano. At number 32, I have the Wretch Devora outfit from MKX, a part of the Apocalypse skin pack. Speaking of putting a shirt on, geez, I didn't know modern MK had a design like this in them. Yeah, most forget about this skin, which is probably a sign of why it's so low, but wow, is it more revealing than I remember. You can almost see full-on nipple. Wait, does Devora have nipples? Wait, why does she even have boobs? Bugs don't produce milk. I'm thinking way too hard about this. Next up at 31, I have Nitara's Union of Light design from MK1. This is pretty generic and boring to me, like a lot of the Union and Order designs in MK1, but it wouldn't be this low if the default version of it wasn't purple. No one asked for Nitara to be purple. It's red and black. That's her design. It's not that hard. At number 30, I have the skin for Nitara in MK1. This is obviously just a fun little design in story mode for Johnny's movie, and it serves its purpose, but I can't rank it super highly. It does look pretty badass, don't get me wrong, but it's not really related to Nitara at all, which makes it impressive that it's still able to rank as high as it has. Hell, we just covered an actual Nitara design that's below it, but still, I can't rank it too high. For number 29, I have the Oshtek Warrior Kotal skin. I like this one for the story implications and what it means for Kotal's background, as obviously this is what he looks like without all the blue paint. But in terms of actual aesthetics, I always just found it super ugly. The hair, the paint that isn't completely white but just makes his skin lighter, and the lack of color. I think MK11 did this design idea much better. At number 28, I have the default MK11 Kollector design. This dude is just so forgettable and boring. I think he could be a cool crypt NPC or something akin to the merchant from Resident Evil, but as his own combatant, I just don't see anything in him that tells me why he should exist. And that's reflected in his design. His big feature is that while Scorpion has 2 arms and Goro has 4, Kollector's got 6. But that gimmick of adding arms kind of ran out 30 years ago. We're bored of it. But that's it for Kollector in today's video. See ya, buddy, you won't be missed. Now let's get to number 27, Nitara's Deadly Alliance Alternate. This is a decent design that kind of gives Nitara a more traditional vampire look while retaining the lack of clothing, giving her a pale white face and adding some tattoos on her arms and thighs. It's good, as I said, but kind of strips the color from Nitara's original outfit, just making it black basically, which I don't like. At number 26, we've finally gotten back to Meat with his Armageddon design. This gives him a more meaty appearance, you could say, that's much more bulky and muscular rather than being pretty much just bones. It also gives him some iconic character features such as the hanging eyeball and dripping blood effects. All in all, this version of Meat is good, better than the MK4 version, but I think he could be even better. Watch the video in the top right corner to find out how. At number 25, I have Nitara's MK1 Default. I think it's better than her Union of Light design because the colors are better, less purple, which is still too much, but oh well, and I like the addition of Nitara having red hair. I don't think it would work for every version, but it works here. I also quite like how the armor looks, but my problem with it is that it feels a little generic. It doesn't have some of that almost pirate aesthetic the original Nitara had, which I feel adds a lot to her character. And yeah, the purple makes me angry. At 24, I have the default Ferra Torr from MKX. I like the concept of Ferra Torr, but I think the execution could have been a lot better design-wise. But unfortunately, this is MKX where everything is desaturated and boring. I like the Potato Sack Part 2 Jason look for Torr, but that's all I can really say about this design other than just the concept being really cool, which is what saves it from being way lower on this list. At number 23, I have Rai Cho's MKX Default. I was just talking about MKX desaturating outfits. One of the best examples of it is right here. Look at every other Rai Cho design, and then look at this one. Night and day difference. It honestly feels like Rai Cho wasn't planned to be in MKX, so they gave him a super boring design for story mode, but then NRS realized people actually wanted him, so they just threw this design in. They should have done the same thing they did with Tanya and revamp a little for his playable form, but oh well. At number 22, I have Reiko's MK4 design. For some reason, he doesn't have an actual alternate in this game, just a recolor. Kinda weird. But I've always thought Reiko was an underrated character in terms of design, and you'll see that throughout this list. I just think the iterations on this first MK4 form though were a lot better and solidified his character. Because Reiko was originally supposed to be Noob Saibot, he has this ninja-like vest and overall structure without the mask and instead with this iconic face paint blue eyes and Mr. Fantastic hair. But because of that, he's kinda boring from the neck down. At number 21, I have the default D'Vorah design from MKX. D'Vorah is one of the more memorable character designs since the beginning of the NRS era. I think she looks pretty good in MKX. I think her designs since this have done better at really leaning into that bug-like aesthetic, but this was a good start. I especially love the cape. Like I said in my best design choices video, capes are rare in modern MK, so when you do see them, they look so clean. I wish they would have chosen another character to give a cape to, since there are much better candidates, but oh well. Halfway there, we're at number 20, I have Nitara's Order of Darkness outfit from MK1. This is by far her best original design from this game, because it doesn't force purple everywhere, but it also has a nice, simple look to it that reminds me most of her Deadly Alliance outfit. The part I don't like is the hair. I wish she just had the normal Nitara hair rather than this Roblox-ass haircut, but it's not the biggest deal. I really enjoy the shade of red on this one and the spiked breastplate. plus the sleeves kind of fold together to resemble her OG design. At number 19, I have the Union of Light Reiko design. I think Reiko's designs in MK1 are pretty good, and Union of Light is one of them, though I do have some issues with it, such as the colors. I think it would have been a layup design if the sash was red, as well as some of the highlights of the outfit, but instead the sash is white and the outfit is more of an orange color. Even the version of this outfit that does have a red sash is super washed out and light, so I would have liked a deeper red. But it's not a huge deal. In terms of a more friendly Reiko look, I think this is solid. I like the armor and shoulder pads. At number 18, I have Devora's Chitin Queen design from MKX. This is the outfit Devora has in flashbacks and inspired her MK11 default. The biggest difference between this one and the one in MK11 is that one is a bit more nasty and gross, which is why it's much higher, as you'll see. This one's more clean and smooth, but it's still really great in my opinion. I especially like the textured jacket that seamlessly transitions into the hood. I think that should be Devora's definitive design choice. At number 17, I have the Master and Servant Ferra Torr design. Yeah, I honestly think Ferra Torr's alternate costumes are way superior to their default. This skin has literally no reason to exist, by the way. It just appears in the story so that they can have an alternate costume. But anyways, I just think the spiky mask and generally more armored look for Torr is a much needed upgrade that makes them a lot more memorable. I really like the spiky fists of Torr, really enforces the impact of his attacks, which is one of the best parts of the character. Torr's movement and momentum behind his moves. At 16, I have Emperor Reiko that appears in MK1 Chaos Reigns. Again, like the Union of Light Reiko, this is a solid design that could have been better with an improved palette. The default colors are just not it, and I don't like that it doesn't have an option to go with the black eye paint. There's an alternate palette for this design that looks much better, although it's probably a bit too lacking in red, but it looks much nicer than the default. Other than that though, it's really good, making him look intimidating, powerful, and important, which is crucial when making an Emperor design, make him stand out when he enters a room. For number 15, I have the past Erron Black from MK11. I don't know why a past version of Erron Black exists, but I think this design is good. Certainly a downgrade from his other base outfits, but still good. This one gives him more of that black dragon red and black theme, and a more slick leather jacket, rather than the more cowboy of the past aesthetic from MKX. You can definitely tell this Erron spends more of his time in Earthrealm than Outworld, cause it just has less of that dirty look to it. Me personally, I don't like the change, but Erron Black's aura is unmatched regardless. This dude does literally nothing, yet somehow he's a lot of people's favorite character. At number 14, I have the Order of Darkness Reiko from MK1. This Reiko feels almost Viking-like, which I think is a really good base for his character, especially with the fur around the neck and the skull in the middle. It just feels like he's this grueling, savage, but intelligent warrior that just wants to find the best ways to hurt people, and I think that fits Reiko quite well, especially in this game. It also doesn't suffer too much from bad colors. It includes more red, not the ideal shade, especially on the snakeskin parts of it, which is more orange, but overall, I think it's the best alternate he has from MK1. At number 13, I have the Mortal Kombat 1 version of Nitara's Deadly Alliance costume. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna BS you guys and try and say this and her OG Deadly Alliance outfit are the same, cause they're absolutely not and deserve to be ranked separately. And it's not that this one is bad, it's not. It's by far her best design in MK1, but the original is so much better and should have been preserved. I'm not the type to cry censorship in MK, but this is just a blatant example of covering up a design that didn't need it, and it's a downgrade. Listen, the colors are great, I love the hair, the sleeves, the headband, all of that, but giving her pants just messes with the complexion of the design. Now it just looks like she's dressed everywhere besides her most vital area. Makes it a bit of a target, don't you think? I'm so glad that NRS listened in later depictions of 3D era outfits, such as the Deception Mileena design, because this is just not the same. At number 12, I have Ferra Torr's best design, the Executioner design. So, Ferra Torr's best outfit isn't just not their default, it's not even supposed to be canon, it's a themed skin. Is that a first for this series, that a themed skin has been number one for a character? But yeah, the Apocalypse Skin Pack's Executioner design is my favorite Ferra Torr costume. I really like Ferra's hood on this one, and Torr just looks badass. I know it's supposed to be an Executioner hood, hence the name, but it kind of feels like a merger between his default mask and his Master and Servant mask, which I think makes for the perfect Torr look. At number 11, Devora's best design is her MK11 default. I really love how they just said screw it and dialed Devora's bugginess up to 11 for MK11. And it's number 11. that's a lot of 11s. The shoulder pads having these, I don't know what you'd even call them, pores, egg sacs, I don't know, but they look gross and great. Her face also looks much more bug-like and angular, which you can actually apply to the rest of her whole body. It's much more armory, but not in a bad, typical MK11 way, but instead it's more of like a beetle shell type of armor or something, like an exoskeleton. And yeah, I hate Nitara, you guys know that, but a great design she has in general, but especially in MK11. And now we're finally here, it's been a long road, the top 10, starting with Reiko's default MK1 design. For all of MK1 Reiko's flaws, which there isn't a lot, but not because he's a good character, but because he's barely an afterthought, his design is not one of them. Only part I dislike is that he doesn't have the blue eyes. Hell, I would even settle for the white eyes like in the MKX comics, but just giving him normal eyes feels boring. Other than that, they didn't overdo it with the redesign, which I really like. It's pretty much what you'd expect from Reiko, which after the disaster that was... we didn't know if we'd get even just something recognizable, but thankfully we did. It was simple, great, and had awesome colors and armor, and I'm very happy. Now next time, just make sure he does something. At number 9, I have Rai Cho from Deadly Alliance. I'm not gonna lie, with Rai Cho, I'm kinda biased. I just really enjoy him as a character and how underrated he is, and the misconceptions around him that he's just a joke, so when ranking his designs, even though they aren't the most exciting in the world, I rate them pretty high. For Deadly Alliance, it's certainly not his Deception outfit, which we'll get to, but it's a solid, colorful first design for the character that tells you, hey, this guy is kinda funny, kinda goofy, but he's also wise and can kick your ass. Perfect for Rai Cho. At number 8, I have the present Erron Black design from MK11. This one doesn't do too much drastic to the MKX version, just made it a bit more armory and colorful. I really like the sort of scrappy look that it has with the dirty brown clothes and the orange shoulder and leg pads. I think some parts of it are a downgrade from MKX, for the most part it is, but it's still a great Erron Black design. At number 7, I have Kotal Kahn's MKX default. Kotal, along with Erron and D'Vorah, is a very memorable NRS character design. The large feathers coming out of his helmet, the blue painted skin, the glowing markings. This man had all the aura of a leader, of a Khan, until he actually started fighting. But that's besides this outfit, which does a great job at what I just described. He's different from your Shao Kahns and Onagas. He's not meant to be intimidating in the evil way, but he's just imposing and stands strong, giving more of a fierce protector vibe, kinda like Raiden. At number 6, we're back to Erron Black, but sticking with MKX, cause we have his default from that game. This was lightning in a bottle from NetherRealm in terms of character design. I mean, it's a damn cowboy, assassin, badass inside of Mortal Kombat. Somehow they fumbled his character though, but this design alone, it was enough to make him a fan favorite. Pretty much until MK11 proved they had no idea what to do with him. The things I think this design does better than MK11's Erron is pretty much all in the head area. I think the black eye markings look awesome and they should have brought them back, and I think the more simple hat and mask look a lot better than MK11's. But this outfit just gives the dude this nonchalantly trick-shotting you vibe that made Erron really badass for all of 2 seconds before... But now for the top 5, we have Kotal Kahn's MK11 default. There's not much to say here that we didn't discuss with MKX, but the colors are much improved here, and I'd say the design is just much more exaggerated in that MK sort of way that makes him integrate better with the overall universe. I think it was the Force Snake who said this look for Kotal is much better because the face paint is more obviously face paint since it's kind of weathered off his skin. A lot of people originally just thought Kotal was blue, so that's a nice addition to clear it up. At number 4, I have Deception Rai Cho. This is the definitive Rai Cho design, hands down. I don't even really know how to describe what he's wearing, but I just really like it. The reddish color they go with along with the gold looks really nice, and I love the fur sleeves that he has. It's a big upgrade from Deadly Alliance, and I already liked that design. I think this one just makes him feel even more important. For DA, while he looked wise and goofy at the same time, it lacked that big character. Not literally, he was quite big, but I mean crucial, important to the way Rai Cho is. But when you look at Deception's Rai Cho, he really sticks out as, hey, this is the guy that you want to be trained by, because he trained all the best fighters in the world. Moving on now to the top 3, taking the bronze medal is Nitara's Deadly Alliance default. A vampire pirate lady with giant bat wings wearing damn near nothing. Absolute peak. I don't even gotta elaborate, but I will. Nitara is just such a badass concept for a character that I will never understand how, firstly, she was never that popular in the first place, and second, how they absolutely desecrated her in MK1. I think it's such an interesting look for basically her arms to be the only covered up part of her, and I think it looks great, along with the shade of red and rest of the colors. Her headband that covers one of her eyes is also sick, and obviously the giant red bat wings are the staple of her character and give her a great, immediately recognizable silhouette. But Reiko will be taking the silver medal for his Armageddon design. Armageddon isn't really too known for its great original designs, since most of them are taken from other games. Reiko though, he gets a new one and it just perfected his character for me. The metal collar that goes into his large plated shoulder pads is so badass, and you can see where MK1 just took this and modernized it, but truly I don't even think it needed it at all, cause it looks better here in a more simple, but still somehow more exaggerated form. It just gave Reiko this more savage, I'm going to beat the shit out of you personality that really fit his calculated General of Outworld character, that it bled into his character and gave him more of that personality, which is what all the best designs do. And of course, blue glowing eyes. Amazing. Taking the number one spot though, we haven't talked about this guy at all until right now, cause he only has one design. Absolutely criminal, by the way. Onaga. Onaga, of course, first appears in MK Deception, but has been given no other design since, and any appearance he's had has been this design, even in Reiko's MK1 ending in a different timeline. But you know what? Maybe it's for the best, cause can you really do better than this dragon man behemoth? I don't know if I'm stupid, but I never noticed until now that Onaga actually has a very similar helmet to Shao Kahn. Hell, I didn't even know he wore a helmet, I just thought that was part of him. But he has these giant horns that really exaggerate it, and of course the dude is just a unit. You can't forget the shoulder pads, and you can't forget the wings. You thought Nitara's wings were cool? Onaga owns her in that department. But that'll be it for today's design ranking. Any Outworlder that I didn't cover today, either I've already covered or I plan to cover in the future. Let me know down below which of these designs were your favorite and least favorite. Subscribe and leave a like if you want, and that's wraps on this one, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.